What's good, YouTube? It's your boy KNeutron, back at it again with another tough video. So as y'all know, we covering this Warframe content for sure, because Warframe is an all-time top tier game. So today we're gonna be covering who is the best starter Warframe in 2024 by Warframe Flow. I've been watching his videos for a while now. He gives great insights. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's your boy KNeutron. Let's get to reacting, baby. Let's get to reacting.
When you first start Warframe, you'll have to choose which Warframe you want to pick as your starter. Excalibur, Vault, or Mag. And
my first time playing Warframe, obviously I went with the poster boy. I went with Excalibur. But my second time, oh man, I fell in love with playing Vault. No doubt. Being able to play as the Flash.
While the game does indeed give you a brief rundown of their respective
rundown of the abilities don't do enough work.
Skills, without any prior experience, it's pretty much impossible to tell what's...
Mag has the coolest helmet in game. My honest to God's opinion. Like, bro, you literally just see the whole universe through her skull.
What's good here and what is not. And since you'll be stuck with your choice, at least for the first couple of hours into the game, you want to make sure to pick the right one. So in today's guide, we're going to look at all of these three Warframes and go over their strengths and weaknesses to answer the...
But Mag's abilities just make you feel like a complete, utter god, bro. Like the simple fact that you can repel people with just a simple ability of magnetism, and like you can attract them. So crazy.
The question, which Warframe is the best starter for you?
Vault.
Massive thank you to all generous channel members who helped me keep the lights on. And now, let's jump right into it. Now, as some of you might remember, I already made a video on exactly this topic back in 2022, and the thumbnail also looked kind of similar. The thing is, in the last year specifically, in 2023, a lot has changed, especially for early game, and I don't necessarily still stand by the statements that I made back then. This is why today we're gonna have the updated version, so if...
See, like, look at that, bro. Mag just stacks bodies and enemies together, and you can literally just crush them all together. Like, bro, what?
You're starting into the game in 2024, this right now is relevant for you. Also, by the way, just to make sure that you get the full starting player experience when you watch this video, I only used very early game setups, early game weapons in the footage in the background, so what you're seeing right here is what you're getting when you start the game. But
yeah, that's actually like super early game. He's running with the MK1 Paris.
Look at our first.
The bow, and I think he's running with the kunais. I'm not too sure. Bow staff.
Starting out with the one and only, the man, the legend, the poster boy, and the face that you will have in your mind when you think about Warframe. Of course, I'm talking about Excalibur.
Based. Very base, very true.
Excalibur has been the most prominent choice among new players in Warframe, basically since forever. And
the whole, like, damn near the game's whole life. Nobody has chosen any other frame over Excalibur more than they've chosen Excalibur. I didn't word that perfectly, but you know what I mean.
I can totally understand why. See, Excalibur has one huge advantage. And
he has a sword. And his sword is literally a light sword. His fourth ability is literally turning your sword from a regular katana into a lightsaber. And it shoots out not laser blasts, they shoot out laser slices. Vortex slices from the blade. We know why people pick Excalibur.
He is extremely simple and straightforward to use.
Well, that too.
Basically, while other Warframes are a bit more complicated, they have a lot of synergy between their abilities, and you need to think yourself into that.
That is so cool. That is so cool. She's not even aiming at the enemy and still doing damage. She puts them in a pulverizing vortex of magnetism and just shoots each bullet. And it just swirls around in the bubble. And you can see it too.
bit. With Excalibur, this goes completely out the window. Excalibur's gameplay is basically press a button and something happens on screen, right?
Agreed.
His skills are very easy to understand. His first, you dash forward and deal melee damage to enemies.
I mean, it's honestly in the name. Most Warframes at the beginning, they were very like telltale as far as the names, as far as their ability names, even their abilities. They weren't as complex as they are nowadays, which is, in my opinion, I think that's really cool. I think that's tough because you can go with a certain Warframe and you could tell they were made early in Warframe's lifespan, but they're still viable in like today's gameplay. It's crazy.
2, you blind nearby enemies so they cannot attack you. His 3, you deal AoE damage to nearby enemies. And his 4, you pull out your energy blade and start hacking away with it, dealing
That's the ability to turn your sword into a lightsaber. Yes, sir.
quite decent damage.
And
Honkai
it's
Star
not
Rail
decent.
just passed
That's
80
just
million
fire.
downloads.
Oh my gosh.
Guess what? You can get
Nobody cares about
80
Honkai when
reviews by
Wuthering
downloading
Waves is
from
coming
Pete's
out.
video.
No way.
And what makes the whole thing even simpler is that in practice, his first and his third ability are basically not used all that much.
At
the
all.
average Excalibur player
Almost to like that third, and yeah, that they're almost never used. Honestly, I mean, you can go perfectly fine with slash dash and probably your exalted blade and shit. I mean, you could damn near run Excalibur till end game with that ability rotation and you'll be perfectly fine. Honest to God's truth.
and I say that because this is the way how I play him, just pulls out his energy blade right away, starts hacking, and if the enemies get too annoying later on, you occasionally press your 2 to blind them, and that's basically it. And even though this sounds extremely
Very true. His blinding really doesn't have that big of a effect on the enemies, in my honest opinion.
simple, and believe me, it also is, the damage numbers that you're pulling by just following this simple procedure are quite decent, especially in the early game.
True.
So if you personally are not that much into understanding complicated skill synergies and you just want to download Warframe to play a nice, fast-paced third-person action game, right? Maybe if you come from a shooter background as well, then this
Like Destiny. I mean, obviously we know that.
might be a great choice for you because it doesn't overwhelm you with any RPG skill types of stuff. You can just jump in, hack away, shoot with your gun, and you can have a good time with good damage out.
I think Warframe is the true definition to hack and slash, honestly. I mean, you can't get any more hacky and any more slashy than Warframe, honestly.
However, even though that sounds super nice, you know, a lot of damage without thinking, it is not all sunshine and rainbows with Excalibur, and there are some more arguments to be made as to why or why not he might be your personal starter choice.
True.
So let's also go over that. First of all, and probably the most prominent argument that people make when they say why you should not use Excalibur is that you can unlock him very early in the game already. I mean,
True. Very true. And even if it's not a regular Excalibur, you will unlock, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, you will unlock, how do I want to say this without spoiling it if I have any new players? You will unlock another version of Excalibur. And in my honest opinion, that version is fire. You veterans know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Umbra.
in general, no matter which of these three you pick, as you play through the game later, you will always have the ability to unlock the other two as well.
Yeah.
So it's not a choice for eternity anyway. And the thing is, the point in the story at which you can usually unlock Excalibur is already on Mars, which
And
is
super
the fourth
early
planet. That's why some people say it's a waste to get him as a starter. Better get someone else. And also, as you play through the story further, right, not just after 3 days or so, but more like after 50-ish hours, there will be a certain story.
And there it is. There it is.
And I'm not going to spoil you,
sword
just
is
going to
so
say
fire.
that after that quest, you will be rewarded with a cooler version of Excalibur,
Way
which you're
cooler
probably going
version
to be
of
using
Excalibur.
from
Look
that
at that
point
guy.
onwards, meaning at this point you would probably get rid of your
bro.
starting Excalibur to make some more inventory space for other Warframes. So with these things in mind, while yes, Excalibur is a very easy to understand and decently damaging starting Warframe, there are definitely these points to be made as to why it might be worth thinking about not jumping in with him right away.
I think Excalibur is a really good start for a beginner. I think that his abilities are not too difficult. They're honestly super basic, especially when you're a beginner, and Excalibur is kind of the most appealing for most new players. I mean, he's honestly the poster boy for Warframe. You log into Warframe, or you look up any video on Warframe, you're definitely gonna find a video about Excalibur. So I definitely think he's up there. But as a starter, maybe for at least complex, I'll give Excalibur #1. But if we're talking like as a starter, I gotta put Mag up there.
It's your personal preference. Also, before we go on to the next one, there is one quick thing I want to mention about Excalibur that will make him very valuable for some players. See, after finishing every planet, before you can go to the next one, there's a little boss battle, quote-unquote, that you want to get through. It's called a junction, and on that junction, you're going to face...
I think this is so cool inside of Warframe. It is so cool, the simple fact that you kind of have to, like, battle your way to unlock more content. I know it's not hard. It's honestly not hard at all. Well, it depends on what level you are. But I think it's so cool how you have to kind of battle your way to unlock more content. It's so sick. And the simple fact that you're fighting another Warframe, it makes it even better. You're not just fighting a Corpus or a Grineer or Infested. You're fighting an actual Warframe with actual pretty decent gear.
Face an AI-controlled Warframe, or to be precise, a Warframe Spectre. I personally never had that much trouble doing these battles, but I've heard from a lot of players out there and in the comment section that they simply cannot get past those bosses because they are too strong. And especially in this case,
see, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes the bosses are. Sometimes those Spectres are pretty strong. So you gotta be actually, you gotta have a decent amount of skill to unlock that next content that you're moving into. And then to me, I think the Spectres kind of show you, not actually, but they kind of show you the level of difficulty that increases when you move to said area that you're going to be moving to once you complete that junction.
Excalibur has one neat little trick up his sleeve, because with every Spectre in the game, without exception, you can just run up to them, press your second skill to blind them, then go behind them and perform a melee finisher on them.
So fire.
So if you're not really that confident in your third-person shooter abilities, then this is definitely the easiest way to cheese those boss fights. Also, I would be super happy if you could spare a like, because it helps the video and the channel out a ton, so big cheers for that. But now, let's go on to number 2.
That skin is fire.
Up next, we have Volt. And
yes,
the
sir.
very interesting thing about Volt is that many players say that he is basically the best starter Warframe, and I can totally see why, and this argument can be made. However,
I can definitely
start
agree.
Cutting carbs. I need to drop my belly fat.
Wait.
If you want to drop this.
However, a lot of the reasons that I hear as to
But what I was gonna say is I do agree that Volt high-key might be one of the best starter Warframes just based off of his abilities. I mean, every ability you can actually use, they're really super important. They have an effect in-game. They help you, early game, or you can even use them in-game, and they're still usable the same way as when you first started playing the game. Like his super speed, so fun. That's actually the best one to me, because you can literally speed up your whole entire team. It's like you giving the speed force to your team. Like, what? Bro. But yeah, Volt's fire for sure.
Why he is the best starter are, in my personal opinion, and please don't take this as an offense, but I don't think that they're actually that good of a reason. Let me explain. As I mentioned with Excalibur, you can always get the other Warframes later in the game.
True.
However, while most Warframes are farmed in certain mission types or boss battles, with Volt, it's very different. And the reason for that is that in order to get Volt, you need to be in a clan. See, Warframe has this fundamental gameplay mechanic.
See, and that's why it's really important to play with, as Volt when you start out, because You don't get into a clan super well. I mean, it also depends on if you're chatting with the world chat. You can get into a clan super early. They like to invite people, but I mean, it all depends on the player. Cause some players don't like to join clans or guilds. So, like I said, it all depends on the player.
Where clans have dojos, like the clan headquarters basically, and in those
Nintendo
dojos
Lab.
you have certain laboratories that you can build to research the blueprints that
The detail that DE goes into for even the dojo itself, honestly, I think if a game were to do that and incorporate that, shit, so many people would be like, whoa, this game is fire, but DE did it years ago. Years ago.
you need to create certain
Like the level of detail that they go into for their games, and I apologize for pausing so much, but the level of detail that they go into for their games is chef's kiss.
warframes and weapons. And Vault is exactly one of those warframes. So if you don't take Vault right away and you want to get him later on, it is absolutely necessary that you are in a clan where there is the Vault research available, and then you can just take it. Now, I know this is a point that a lot of players dislike about Warframe, this forcing you into clan business, and I totally agree. I would also like it if this was not the case, but on the other hand, it's also very, very simple to find a big clan with hundreds of players that just blindly invites everybody.
True, and that's what I'm saying. Most clans are very happy to invite new players, old players, veterans, anybody looking for a clan. They just want to look for one. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and plug my clan. If you looking to join my Warframe clan, YNG Mafia, baby. You know it.
Just to give them access to all those researches. Simply go into the recruit chat, say, hey, I'm a new player, I'm searching for a clan, and I'm sure
Oh my gosh, if you do that, your your chat will definitely be blowing up, for sure.
you're gonna hear back from someone soon. Now, because of this whole clan business thing, many players say take Vault as a starter because then you have him and you don't need to get into
Agreed.
a clan to get him later on.
I agree.
And at first glance, this sounds completely reasonable, right? The problem is just that, besides Vault, there are also other really good warframes that are locked behind the clan dojo, and not just that, but also dozens of weapons, including some of the best in the game. So, like it or not, sooner
And the crafting inside Warframe, it is very detailed, but it is also time gated. So depending on what you're trying to craft, just be, mindful of what item or what weapon you want to craft, because they can take up to like days, hours. So I mean, it's only important to think about it
or
and look
later,
back
you
at it.
will have to either build up your entirely own clan with a lot of resources, or go into someone else's clan just to gain access to all of that. Meaning, picking Vault as a starter just because of the clan business is not really a good reason, because you're gonna have to do it anyway sooner or later. Another point that I hear many players make, and I always wonder why would you tell that to a beginner, is that there is a certain, I don't want to call it late game activity, but it's a mission type that you're not going to start before your 50th hour in the game at least. It's called Eidolon hunting. It's in the open world where you're going to face those super gigantic
Don't even get me started about the Eidolon hunter.
enemies, and especially if you want to do it as efficiently as possible, there are certain quote-unquote meta team combinations that
Producers, if you struggle finding sounds and samples that work for you, then you have to check out this plugin.
I need to get YouTube
you
Premium.
want to run, and Vault is traditionally a must pick for those teams. So yeah, Vault is great for Eidolon hunting, you
True.
know, but why would you take him as a starter Warframe just because of something that he can do 50 hours in? By that point, you're more than capable of just
Yeah, around that time you should already have another frame. Hopefully, I mean, each player is different, especially in Warframe. I mean, you can honestly just go through the whole storyline and barely unlock a single Warframe, but I
getting him and
digress.
constructing him as you need him. No, the only legitimate reason as to why you should pick him as a starter is because you like his kit. So let's talk
True.
about that real quick. Vault is the king of versatility. No matter which game mode
Agreed. Definitely agree with that. I definitely agree that Vault is very versatile when it comes to the Warframes, for sure.
you're playing, one of his skills will always be applicable to that and help you out. His first shoots out a chain lightning towards enemies, deals a bit of damage, basically insta-killing everything in the very early game, but later on it's not that relevant anymore. His 2 makes you really quickly, which is great for speedrunning missions and also speeding up your melee attacks in case you're into that. His 3rd creates a big energy shield, blocking incoming fire and also buffing up your fire that you shoot back through it. So that's really great for defensive type missions, of which there are quite some in the game, so keep that one in mind. And his 4th is a big electric discharge, which can easily room clear everything, at least in the base game up to enemy level 50-ish or so. As you see, in contrast to Excalibur, it's not that simple and straightforward, but therefore you get a lot of versatility, so no matter which situation you find yourself in, there is going to be something in your kit that will end up being helpful for you.
Yeah.
So, with Volt, yes, it is a totally legit choice to take him as your beginning Warframe, but take him because you like his kit. Take him because you want versatility for different game modes. Don't
take him for speed, for sure. If anything, play Volt because he is a fast boy.
Take him just because someone said 50 hours in you're gonna be able to Eidolon hunt with him. And also don't take him because somebody said, oh, you have to be in a clan to get him otherwise. You're gonna have to be anyway. Only base your decision on whether you like his kit and the versatility or not. Alright, now last but definitely not least, let's look at Mag, our 3rd Warframe that we
One of my top favorite characters.
Mag is pretty much the exact opposite of Excalibur. Excalibur is more for the action game type of player, you know, you don't need to put much thought into his abilities and deal decent damage.
Oh, Mag, you just sit back and hit those abilities. Oh, chef's kiss. You're completing the mission without even having to lift a finger.
But Mag is more for the players that really enjoy the quote-unquote space wizardry aspect of Warframe. Because she can be insanely powerful to the point where she easily outpowers the other 2, especially later in the game. But in order to unleash all that power, you need to use all of her abilities with their synergy in the right way.
Tandem.
So you need to put a bit of time into learning how to best play her. Probably a very nice aspect for especially those players that come from an RPG background. Now, one thing that I absolutely need to get out of the way is that back in my 2022 video, I was really not good to Mag. Basically, my point back then was that yes, Mag has the most damage potential from all of these 3, but since she needs her skills to unleash that, she is very energy hungry, and in the early game you're just not gonna have the upgrades that you need to give you the energy that she requires.
See, I could understand that though. I could definitely understand that though, because energy supplies is not... You don't get energy very often in early level quests. I mean, once you start getting past your 30 hours, maybe your 50 hours, then you start running quests where your enemies are damn near giving you energy off every other enemy that dies. So I mean, yeah, Mag at the start, oh, her kit's so fun, but it just requires energy and it requires mana. You know what I'm saying?
However, with all the changes happening in 2023,
but if those requirements are cleaned up, man, Mag for sure, hands down, is the best starter.
This point now does not stand anymore at all. First of all, while Excalibur and Volt both have at least decent armor stats and therefore can take a couple shots, Mag does not have good armor at all, therefore she was always more of a glass cannon type of Warframe. This has changed now in the way that shields have more damage resistance, meaning that now also Mag, with her solely relying on shields, can take more hits and is not that glassy of a cannon anymore. And second, and this is probably the biggest one, we now have an opportunity to get our energy economy up to speed even very early in the game already.
True.
This is your brain when you're struggling
to focus. This is 4.
And this is your
ad
brain
number 4.
when you're in the zone.
We're not gonna keep
but
doing
getting in
this.
the zone.
Let me explain. Right from the start of the game, you have access to a little sentinel, like a little drone companion, that you can build from the blueprint that you can easily get from the market. This sentinel is called Diriga and comes with a skill that zaps nearby enemies with electricity.
Yo!
Now, why the damage of this is really nothing to write home about, There is a certain mod that you can put onto Diriga called Synth Deconstruct, which makes it that whenever an enemy dies that has been hit by your companion, aka with the zaps, this enemy has a massively increased chance of dropping a health orb.
Yo. See, it's little stuff like that. Because honestly, judging by my reaction, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that drone could do that. And I didn't even know that that was a mod that you could put onto the drone. See, it's so much stuff in Warframe that you will continue, and I mean continue to learn as you play the game. You can play the game for 4 to 5 years and still be learning new stuff about it. Honest to God's truth.
Combine that with a certain Warframe mod called Equilibrium, which makes it that whenever you pick up health, you also get energy at the same time, and you have a simple...
So that instantly takes away the red flags on playing with a mag in early game. Or depending on those mods don't look like you get them early game, but you can understand what I mean.
And easy way to never run out of energy and always have fuel for all the skills that mag wants to cast. The Diriga companion is accessible right from the start of the game. The mod Synth Deconstruct can be farmed on Venus already, which is the 2nd planet, and Equilibrium can easily be farmed on Deimos, which is the 5th planet, so also still pretty early.
Okay, well, he just answered my question.
In the boss fight there, so all the components that you need for this way of energy generation are accessible pretty early on, which makes it that now the biggest downside in the past as to why you wouldn't take mag early on is now not that big of a deal anymore. But alright, let's finally actually talk about what she can even do. Her first ability pulls in all nearby enemies right in front of her face.
Yo,
this is one of my...
like, look at that. No way. Like, whoever at DE came up with the idea that when they all get pulled together, they should all just get, like, jumbled up and mashed up like some, like, cosmic mush. Bro, you're amazing.
Her first ability pulls in all nearby enemies right in front of her face.
Like, look at them. They can't even, like make a move or anything.
This is one of my favorite grouping abilities in the entire game because it's so easy and it's cheap to cast with just the cost of 25 energy.
And it's also her first ability.
Her second ability creates a magnetized bubble, pulling in nearby enemies, and whenever you shoot into one spot in that bubble, your projectiles are going to be pulled into the middle where all the other enemies are.
Which is so fire. So it's like you're creating damn near from Jujutsu Kaisen a simple domain. But in Mag's situation, her simple domain just creates a mini black hole that you can't see. And it just vortexes whatever she puts up in there. Like, how? How do they come up with abilities like this?
So you can basically get all the enemies together and deal a lot of damage to all of them at once.
Look at that. Look at the bullets.
Especially later on in the game with certain weapons, this is so crazy busted in terms of damage output
and
that
she can
it's
hold it.
Absolutely ludicrous. Her 3 is a nice crowd control.
Fire.
It reduces enemies' defenses and also restores your shields. So that's pretty cool. And her 4th is in the early game pretty much a room clear because it deals quite decent damage. And later,
she's breaking their bones, their limbs, everything. Like, everything. Like, imagine the lore accurate version of Mag. Yo.
on, where the enemies are so strong that it doesn't kill them anymore, you use it to reduce their armor, which means that still this skill is very viable later on. So, as you see, the skills are more complex, but the potential of damage output with her is unparalleled.
Agreed.
At the end of the day, Mag is a very strong choice. Her downsides have been fixed with updates that came in 2023, but you still have to put some thought into how to play her, learn her, and with Mag, it's not as simple as to just press a button and everything dies.
True.
So only pick her if this type of ability synergistic gameplay style sounds really interesting to you and you think that you would like that. But now, knowing all that, what is going to be the best starter for you?
I say,
well, the answer
Mag.
is actually pretty simple. With Mag's downsides being fixed now, all of these three are definitely legitimate choices as starters. It just comes down to...
But Mag is definitely like ahead. In my book, it goes Mag at number 1, Volt at number 2, Excalibur. I'm sorry for all the Excalibur mains out there, but Excalibur has to be at number 3.
Your personal preference. if you want to play Warframe as a third-person action game, maybe with your friends, you don't want to put that much thought into all the mechanics and the upgrades and everything, you just want to jump in and deal good
Then
damage,
Excalibur
press a
is
button
your-
and
is
things
your
die and
class.
it looks spectacular,
Warframe
then
for
by
sure.
all means, with Excalibur, you will get the best starting experience out of this. If you like a versatile Warframe that has different skills that can be used in different situations so that you always have something up your sleeves and mainly deal your damage, not with the abilities, but with your melee and ranged weapons, then Vault is going to be your
Agreed.
*1 pick.
Vault is
and
so
especially
fun.
when you come from an RPG background, you like the quote-unquote space wizardry aspects of Warframe, and you love to get into more complicated synergistic abilities that have an insane damage potential if used right, then Mag is going to be your top girl. Also,
Agreed.
if you watched this video because you're new to Warframe or you're thinking about getting into the game, then you also might want to think about leaving the channel a sub, because we already have a lot of helpful guides on the game, but there are certainly more to come in 2024, so don't miss out on that. Now, depending on which type of player you are and where your personal preferences lie, you now know which frame will be the best starter for you personally. However, if you feel like none of these three really tickle your fancy, then absolutely no problem. Right here, I made a list with the best early game Warframes that can be unlocked relatively soon after the game start, and
gotta
I'm
check that
sure
one out.
one of them will be the right fit for you. Another massive thank you to Niels V, Demon Lord Cell, Demon Emperor, Emperor Prime, Black.
What a great video, man. I honestly will say Mag is up there. Then it goes Volt. Then it goes Excalibur. But honestly, you can really play any type of build with each of those characters, depending on how you build your character based off the mods that you select for those characters. But this is a fire video. Don't forget to give it a like for sure. I'm going to definitely leave it in the description. Give your boy a like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all for watching, man. It's your boy KNeutron. We out this motherfucker.